Lisa, as you can see behind me, there are picketers who are already walking around making the clear statement that they say they want their hospital doors to remain open. We're learning more details about a female bike rider who police say was at a Flatbush intersection moments before she was hit by a dollar van. Good morning. The mayor is expected to sign an executive order today now limiting restaurants, bars, and cafes to food and takeout delivery services. Kurt, that's right. All MTA bus riders are now boarding buses from the rear door, an effort that the New York City Transit is taking as buses remain in service. Earlier today, Iona College announced they will start spring break 4 days earlier, canceling all in-person and online arts and science classes effective tonight. Now I'm standing right outside the XYZ smoke shop where the most recent incident took place. Now police tell us this is an ongoing investigation, and if anyone recognizes any of those men, they're asked to call police. In Cypress Hills, Phil Taitt, News 12 Brooklyn.
Let freedom ring from every hill and molehill of Mississippi.
If we want to actualize Dr. King's dream of only love can dispel darkness, and only love can dispel hate, then what are we doing besides for saying words? What actions are we taking?
With tears in his eyes, Rabbi Levi Welton finds strength in famous words from Dr. King's 1963's I Have a Dream speech.
I have a dream.
And 57 years later, he says that dream isn't quite a reality.
The recent anti-Semitic hate, particularly the violent attacks against the Jewish community, is shocking. But the black community has been dealing with that for decades.
Hate at home happened during the Festival of Lights in every corner of the tri-state, from Crown Heights, Brooklyn to Muncie and Jersey City. But the rabbi hopes to heal the wounds of both communities.
Hate is hate. It doesn't matter if it's a white supremacist or a black extremist. What has to happen over here is people condemning hatred and people realizing that every community has their narrative that has to be spoken about.
The rabbi from Lincoln Park Jewish Center looks forward as he spreads Dr. King's message with other faith leaders at a press conference on the steps of New York City Hall.
Dr. King was murdered for speaking up and trying to bring our nation together. And in honor of Dr. King, I said, this is the smallest action I could take, is to stand shoulder to shoulder with the Reverend and talk about love and bring our community together.
With the hope, our society turns a new page towards a brighter future.
Here's our messaging, and now what's the next step? We want to actually go to Brooklyn, we want to go to Muncie, we want to bring the community to like town hall discussions. We could have, everyone is invited to come and talk about their fears, their concerns, their aspirations, and really communicate and have more dialogue.
Rabbi Levi Welton tells me he's inspired by Dr. King's message that he promoted of harmony and peace and togetherness. And he says today's press conference is only one attempt to continue to bring various communities together. Bernetta Urquhart is one of many protesters bringing their voices and instruments to the streets, sounding off, sending a loud message to the Montefiore health system, planning to close Mount Vernon Hospital.
This is our lifeline here. This is the center of the city. We need this hospital here. We plead into Montefiore to reconsider its closure plan.
For Bernetta, this is her home, working as a nurse at the hospital for 29 years. But change could happen right before her eyes.
This would be devastating for us here. It would mean such a sadness, and it would be deprivation for the patient.
As we've reported, Montefiore Health System announced last October that it was closing the only inpatient care hospital in Mount Vernon, replacing the 121-bed facility with an outpatient health care center nearby. Residents aren't too happy.
Someone has my family, a heart attack or something, we can't survive 15, 20 minutes to Newark or Mount Vernon or launch somewhere. We need right here. It's the care, man.
The Montefiore Health System says the demand isn't there anymore, with less than 50% of beds being used. But not everyone is buying that explanation.
I think they have really cut down on the services they've had, and a lot of the patients are being transported out.
Realizing in an emergency, you can't gamble with time.
Time matters, and the patient could die going such a far distance to get service.
A spokesperson for Montefiore Mount Vernon Hospital tells us once the new site is open, the existing site will close. The timeline of this plan is still being developed. In the newsroom, Phil Taitt, News 12.
Anti-Semitism is known as the oldest hatred.
Acts of hatred showing no bounds with recent incidents of racial slurs. On the hockey rink, graffitied swastikas inside a school bathroom, and everywhere in between.
There's a feeling of discomfort. We look at those incidents of hate and we wonder, we can't help but look at our history and wonder if history is about to repeat itself.
A recent 2-year News 12 investigation called Hate at Home shined a spotlight on the problem, tracking hate crimes and hate incidents. Since 2010, there were 645 cases in Westchester and the Hudson Valley.
If there's one, that's one too many. We take them very seriously here in Westchester, as I think most law enforcement agencies do.
County agencies and faith leaders creating solutions, waging war in their battle against hate.
It is critical to reach our young people as early as possible.
Dr. Damia Harris-Madden is the Westchester County Youth Bureau Executive Director, working with private and public agencies devoted to the protection of today's youth by gathering data.
Which would include an equity lens, looking at the various cultures, ages, different groups, so that we had culturally responsive respondents to receive funding to address some of these issues.
Madden telling us this data will measure resources, creating opportunity. But she believes attacking the problem may be served best by starting young and educating students before the hate begins. In White Plains, Taitt, News 12.